This is an article review for Sequence Text Structure Intervention during Interactive Book Reading of Expository Picture Books with Preschool Children with Language Impairment by Bethany Perry, University of West Alabama, SE 502. The key terms needed for this text is expository text, which is a real-life nonfiction, explains, informs, or describes a topic, whereas narrative text tells a story. Also, another word to know is syntax. Expository texts often have higher level syntax, more complex and compound sentences, and higher level vocabulary like Tier 2 and Tier 3, and relating them to real life, comparing, and contrasting. For the research project, they had 2 early childhood special education teachers and 2 speech and language pathologists. They met with the kids 3 times per week for 8 weeks, with 6 different preschool children with a language impairment in 2 classrooms. There were 3 kids with speech impairments in each classroom. The intervention were the strategies during interactive book reading and activities after reading to work on text structure, academic vocabulary, and science topic knowledge. The early childhood special education teachers read the book 2 times a week, and the speech and language pathologists read it 1 time a week. During the study, they realized that most classrooms had narrative books, but not as many expository texts. Research shows that we need to expose children with and without disabilities to a variety of text structures. Facilitation strategies. There were 4 strategies that they used while they read the book and after they read the book, and they also took data on it for their research project. The practitioner asked an expository text structure question. The practitioner asked inferencing questions. The practitioner provides guidance and supports, and the practitioners help kids with their answering questions through summarizing, thinking aloud, and direct questions. Some information I learned about text structures while reading this text. Expository texts have sequence, procedures, cause effect, problem solution, and compare contrast. Usually there are several of these in one text. Children tend to have more difficulty understanding this type of text compared to fictional narratives that have a story grammar text structure. Examples include like how a plant grows, and the life cycle of a butterfly. Whereas a narrative text, they follow a predictable pattern with a goal-directed behavior. Both do use a sequencing first, next, then finally type of text structure. Some major findings from this research project. Teachers and speech pathologists increase their use of language strategies in narrative and expository texts. Children with language impairment increase their understanding of expository texts and higher order vocabulary words. They also showed an increase in their overall syntax. They were learning more of the academic vocabulary words and adverbs, and an increase in their science concepts. When teachers and speech and language pathologists work together, they can increase a child's knowledge on lots of topics. The results were beneficial for kids with and without a language impairment. Students with a speech and language impairment showed an increase in their overall vocabulary, ability to answer more complex questions, and more exposure to different types of text structure. There are some key takeaways for this article. As teachers, we need to increase expository text reading in our classrooms. We need to have more interactive book readings because they have an impact on a child's overall language development, including their reading development. We need to especially increase our syntax and comprehension and vocabulary knowledge and usage. Children with impaired language are 6 times more likely to have a reading disability in school, regardless of their cognitive abilities. Some teacher recommendations are using graphic organizers and visual mapping. Even preschool and kindergarten can do a simple organizers for books, especially with prompts and support. We should include more interactive book readings, asking more complex questions with prompts and support. Also, identify specific words to be taught during reading and then having the children practice using the words in classroom activities and tasks. Some parent recommendations of things that parents can do at home with their kid to help expand their expository text exposure is having dramatic play and hands-on experiences. You can plan activities after reading a book. For example, like if you read the book How to Grow a Sunflower. After reading the book, then you can physically go through the process of growing a sunflower. And as you're going through the process, asking the children what the first step is and then the next step, and then having the children label each part as it grows. Another thing is, after reading expository text, asking more expository questions at home with your kids and increasing their use of more complex questions, like what should we do next after we put the seed in the dirt? Asking literal and inferential questions like, why does this happen or how does this happen, are great things to try at home with your kid. References that were used for this article. And finally, thanks for watching. I hope you learned more about how using expository text in kindergarten and preschool classrooms can help children.